Alrighty, hello there YouTube. So, patch 10.2 is being officially released. We don't have the new season of World of Warcraft yet. It is to come out on the 14th. But I thought I'd go into some of the depths of some of the things that have changed since the last time I did a change to the Demon Hunter class. Back, I think in like October was my last one I pushed out of this. And then I had to leave for about 3 weeks to do some personal things. So, for starters, let us look at what has fully transpired and changed. So, for starters, they did change the location of Darkboon Glare on the Vengeance spec and Sigil of Chains location. Now, Sigil of Chains is more up in the middle of the area, and Darkboon Glare is now a talent that is a capstone. Alright, so, but other than that, most of this has remained the same. There have been a couple talents that did became a single point talent. Those being ones like Burning Blood and Agonizing Flame. Another change that they did was they swapped the location of Revel in Pain and Fell Flame Fortification. For some of you that may not know or may never have really thought of running this, I know back during Season 1, during Vault of the Incarnates, I actually sacrificed some of my key attack abilities just to gain a little additional defense against magic damage, because at the clear end, Razagath's final phase, if the tank couldn't survive the big tank buster hit, which was all magical damage, the whole entire group would wipe. This increases our magical resist, or reduces the magical damage we take. At the time it was like 10%, now it is 12%. But yeah, so it and Revel in Pain have swapped places. I'm not sure on overall how I feel about this. Just because Revel in Pain kind of helped play into the Sigil, or not the Sigil base play, but the Fiery Brand builds, allowing you to, one, more damage you dealt while Fiery Brand was active, the more of an Absorb Shield you got. Considering this does over 100k for an Absorb Shield, that is a physical like 9th of my health in an Absorb Shield that I could get. And keep in mind, things like Fiery Demise helped to play into that. Even technically Ascending Flames was helping to play into that, just because it was all based whenever it was fire damage. Because fire damage got boosted whenever Fiery Brand was afflicting the target. But that's neither here nor there. I would have liked to have seen maybe Revel in Pain come up and move up into here, moving Meteoric Strike down, because, no offense, Meteoric Strike, I don't need this on like an 8-second, 6-second CD. I hardly use it in combat. Only time I'm really using it is whenever I'm needing to move from one location to another. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen maybe Revel in Pain come right out from Fiery Brand to sort of like say, hey, look, you have Fiery Brand that you can probably pick up. Now you can also pick up Revel in Pain pretty easily. But yeah, that's fine. I wasn't really going to play with it. It was just really easy to come and pick up Chains of Anger. Flamefell Fortification I do like, strictly because it helps in our defensive kit when we have Immo up. Now Immo acts as an increase of armor and gives you a damage reduction for magic. what you're looking at right now is what I'm probably going to be using for my Mythic Plus build that I'm working with. Reason why I'm not buying into the Sigil based play right now, and I'm not going down and like picking up Down in Flames and just keeping these two and coming over here instead, pick up Last Resort and feed the demon. Demon Spikes, that's our primary mitigation form. That's supposed to be the increase, or that's supposed to be our thing. And now with this being 8 seconds with 16-second recharge time, you can have 2 Demon Spikes pop back to back and still have a third one coming off cooldown when your second Demon Spikes is going off a CD, or when your second Demon Spikes is due to fall off. They also made it to where now if you were to apply Demon Spikes, and as you see it's dwindling down, coming down, and just to instantly activate it again right as you hit like that 1 second, 0 second mark, calcified spikes will still pop, and you can't cancel Demon Spikes anymore. Oh no, they did not. We still can't cancel that. Blizzard, if you do see this content, please let us cancel MO. There has been too many times that I had to hang back whenever we're trying to do a skip, strictly because MO was up still. Make it to where we can cancel MO, at least on the Vengeance side. But yeah, MO you still can't cancel, and you can't cancel Demon Spikes anymore, but Demon Spikes is decently... Now why was I getting a message? Oh, okay. But yeah, this is my Mythic Plus build that I'm going to be running with. We have some abilities that will aid me in mobility, from Fellblades, the Hunt, the extra Blazing Path, Vengeful Retreat. All 3 of these are more or less mobility based. I also have my sort of stop hitting me buttons, which is my Sigil of Miz, my Chaos Nova, and I also take Sigil of Silence to help in crowd controlling spellcasters to get them brought in. I take Sigil of Chains just because having the ability to drop that and sort of decide that, oh hey, yeah, DPS almost has all these guys freaking dead. I drop it, I run to the next pack and start fighting the next pack. Maybe it's just because I'm over leveled for what I was doing, but that was seemingly to be decent. Like Veldev was pretty much off a CD, but whenever I was into the next pack at the start, so it was just a quick instant cast Veldev, throw down my sigils, get MO up, and then start my generation of souls. But yeah, this was for added crowd control. I'm taking Volatile Flame Blood just so this way MO, whenever it crits, it gives me Fury. Additional Fury, I should say. And I take Aura of Pain to aid in that critical chance. Now, Aura of Pain is sort of my free floater. I'll take and put in Consume Magic if there's going to be a lot of like shields I'm going to be ripping off. But otherwise, it's pretty much Aura of Pain. I'm really not taking Pursuit. I understand that it would increase my current movement speed. And I think maybe it's because I have something with speed actually on it right now. Yeah. So I have a trinket that has speed on it right now, so that's why I have an additional 5% speed. But, like, I get movement speed and all that, but I feel Chaos Nova is just better. And if I really need movement speed, I'll switch over from here to here. That's just because movement speed has never been an issue for me. Like, I can be 50 yards behind my melee DPS and still get into combat quickly because of the hunt. Or I will chain Infernal Strike into Fell Blades just to get close, or just to be in combat instantly. Don't forget, you also have your sigils, which case, as long as you're not taking precise sigils, they can be placed. They can be placed up to 30 yards away. I will be linking my sigil macros because I only use my... Speaking of, I only use my sigils, the placement of sigils, whenever I am out away from a target. Otherwise, I'm using these ones, which will cast it. Well, let's just do Sigil of Flame, which will cast it right at my feet. Once again, I apologize. I'm battling a slight cough. But yeah, I'm taking Feed the Demon. Once again, you're going to be generating a lot of souls. You're going to be consuming a lot of souls, so Demon Spikes will probably not be off a cooldown, and you probably won't have a time that Demon Spikes isn't up. I'm taking Void Reaver to have Frailty give me the 4% that overlaps. Yeah, it's a shame that Frailty now is a stack, or is an overlapping dot. I think I would have preferred just the 10-second debuff of increased healing and taking Void Reaver, which allows me to have that 4%. I'm taking Burning Alive, which will allow my Fiery Brand while Immo's up to spread. What else? And this is just your pretty much basic Frailty build. Now note that these two, if you need a little bit more defensive, you can lose these two and put these two over in like Painbringer, which is another overlapping increase in your defense. It's 2% at max rank, and it allows you to it allows you to stack up whenever you're consuming soul fragments. And like, let's just face it, you're consuming soul fragments quite a lot. I'm not a whole big fan of the sigil builds that they're pushing. I may try it out once I get the season 3 4-piece, but as of right now, I'm sticking with my tried and true Frailty build. Frailty builds have been pretty strong, I felt, in the past, and we're just adding to our mobility and we're adding to our defense by using things like Chaos Nova to stop, Sigil of Misery, which will stop them. Those are the only two real AoE stops. We do have Sigil of Silence, which will help us prevent spellcasters. We can maneuver and pull people out or away from us. I tried every way I could to see if I could pick up most of this, or if I could pick up this and still have a point to put into here, but I couldn't seem to figure out how to do that without losing like Last Resort, because like Cycle of Binding would be nice. Thought there was one that was supposed to... Oh, yeah. Okay, so Sigil of Chains of Anger should increase all of your sigils by 2 yards for damage size. According to people, this wasn't working last I knew. But I have not noticed that. I'm taking Champions of the Glaive to give me a 40-yard range and an additional charge of Throw Glaive. With this, Blizzard, with the addition of Throw Glaive and Mastery of the Glaive, which both gives you 2 charges, both drastically used for different things. After all, Master of the Glaive does allow for a snare, where Throw Glaive increases the range, which is really much so nice on a tank. Think about removing Perfectly Balanced Glaive. Like, we have 2 charges, and I'm just going to throw some spells in here. I know I'm getting rid of Frailty, or I'm getting rid of Spirit Bomb real quick, just to show you what I'm meaning. Like, once again, yeah, 8 seconds, as I said. 8 seconds for a Meteoric, or for Infernal Strike, not game breaking. 9 seconds for Throw Glaive, that's not really that game breaking either. I don't need it to be a 3-second CD. I'm not like constantly pushing Throw Glaive. If I'm losing aggro, I'm using like Elysian Decree to burst my damage. I'm using Sigil of Flame to have a constant stream of damage. I'm using Immo to do that. I'm using my other tools in my toolkit to gain aggro back. Or I'm using a taunt to gain aggro if it's a single enemy. Yeah. Having 3 seconds on Throw Glaive, either maybe bake that into Champion of the Glaive. Let Havoc have a cooldown on its Throw Glaive, since you're going to be so muchly focusing on Throw Glaive for some reason that it's insane. I feel like you went, what are the spells that players don't really use too much, or they use it whenever they have nothing else to really use? For Havoc it's Throw Glaive. Well, now I guess you're going to be using Throw Glaive a lot. And for Vengeance, Sigil of Flame doesn't seem to be used a whole lot. Like, here, this was just me pitting around in the open world. Yeah, I kind of just obliterated enemies, but Elysian Decree was my number 1. Let's see if I can find one of my damage done by... Here we go. Now note, these guys were, I believe, a little lower item level than me, so that is understandable. After all, I'm 441, so do keep in mind that the results are skewed for me and Marshy. We are both 440 plus item level, so that's why like these guys weren't doing a whole lot more than us. Like, one was 394, one was 410. But I'm not gonna say that, oh yeah, Vengeance Demon Hunter broken. No, it's not. This is just me and a guildie of mine. We were doing a low key. So as we can see throughout the whole entire dungeon, yeah, Sigil of Flame came up as 4th for my damage, while Elysian Decree was slowly there at like 6. But once again, if it wasn't for the fact that we have things that buff the frickin' Sigil of Flame's damage now by insane amounts. Note, I wasn't running this. This is strictly with just Flames of Fury and having Fiery Demise on. Yeah, Elysian Decree is going to get outbeat by this just because of the fact that it's not fire damage. I think they should change Elysian Decree from Arcane to Chaos, just so this way it ties in and helps us out with our healing. But yeah, Sigil of Flame was 4th there, but as you can see, Spirit Bomb, Fracture, Feldev, those are my top 3 go-tos, because they are very short CDs. Even Immo, which is at 5. I wonder why it's broken into 2. I have no clue why it's broken into 2. But even Immo, which is at 5, did almost comparable damage to Sigil of Flame. Now, like, I'm gonna put up with what they gave us because it is what it is now. They aren't going to change something midway. Here's Legacy of Oldham. We were running with a group that was a little bit more all geared around 440, except for our healer. Once again, this was a guild group that I was running in. Sigil of Flame, actually. Now, I'm not sure if it's showing properly on details because of running with another Demon Hunter, but as you can see, Sigil of Flame was 6th. And that's just because it's really hard, and for Havoc, your throw glaive isn't even listing. Your throw glaive is number 21. Now note, I believe she was trying out a basic no mover build, essence break build. But as you can see, like, throw glaive isn't there. Soul scar, burning wounds, all of these are supposed to be throw glaive shit. And as you can see, it doesn't really come up in, it doesn't really show too well. Her main things was Immo, Death Sweep, Fell Rush, which makes me wonder if she wasn't actually using a partial movement build. I-Beam, Fire, Raging Fire, Essence Break, Chaos Strike, Annihilation, Blade Dance. Like, at least pick something that may work better with the classes than. And if I'm not mistaken, they still have it where your 4-piece or Havoc's 4-piece is yet tied to a frickin' talent. So it's like, what if the person doesn't want to run the hunt? Let's say they don't like how the hunt plays. Yeah, it does a crap load of damage, but you have to line that up for that crap load of damage. What if they want to play Collective Anguish and Elysian Decree? Then what? But yeah, like, this is Mythic Plus build. My raid build does look a little differently. I'm going for more defense, less utility. I'm also taking retaliation spikes. I know it doesn't really play with deflecting spikes a lot, but Demon Hunters were always a little bit low on the aggro side. So, having at least somewhat of, if I get taken damage from a melee hit, at least I build threat up as well to help generate. And now, like, oh, most people are probably thinking, oh, well, why don't you just take Meteoric Strike? Well, I'm not going to need a high amount of mobility since I have a lot of mobility already. We're taking Darkness, once again, to add to raid utility, where the sigils aren't going to add to raid utility unless it's an AoE fight. I'm not taking Spirit Bomb unless it's an AoE fight, as it's 2 extra talents that I can spend to get boost Sigil of Flame's damage, which is dealing more damage than an Elysian Decree on base. But yeah, I'm taking Elysian Decree over Collective Anguish, and that's just because Elysian Decree does more damage for the 5 targets than Collective Anguish does. So I'm taking Painbringer once again to add a little bit extra defense. Since you're only ever really dealing with maybe 1-2 targets in a raid for a raid boss fight, and that's where a lot of your defensive capabilities and self-healing capabilities are needed. That's why I'm taking just Soul. I just have Soul Cleaver. I'm not too worried about Spirit Bomb unless unless we're doing a massive AoE fight. Then I'll come put these 2 talents back over to here to pick up Spirit Bomb. Can we just talk about Spirit Bomb's location? That needs changed. Because, I'm sorry, you need to make this a little bit more accessible than Perfectly Balanced Glaive. Move it up to Perfectly Balanced Glaive, because Perfectly Balanced Glaive, you don't need throw glaive on 3-second charge. What am I doing? Am I just going to throw glaives to build my aggro? No, I'm going to be using my burst tactics. I'm going to be using Elysian Decree. I'm going to be using the Hunt. I'm going to be using my burst tactics that I have to generate threat over my over my throw glaive. I don't know how many boss fights I really don't use throw glaive unless I'm that far away from it. But then by the time we're ready to pull, usually the Hunt, if it was on cooldown, is already off cooldown, so I just use it to burst into fight. In which case that might not be the right answer if I'm the second tank taking aggro for the second, or the tank that's taking aggro for the second time over the first time. But my co-tank usually is pretty good at maintaining his aggro from me using the Hunt. So we're not usually having too much aggro issues. Once again, I'm using my burst tactics that I have over my throw glaive to burst threat, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Like, those are what I'm using over throw glaive. Like, the only reason why I have anything that buffs throw glaive in this one's because I like having that 40-yard range. I may very well decide to swap that out, and hey, I have no clue what I would take, to be honest. Maybe the extra snare from Vengeful Retreat. But then again, if I need a snare, no, I'd take Vengeful Bonds. Which, once again, that's a snare. That's a 3-second snare that I can have. So, like, it's one of those things that this node is also sort of like a free floater, and I'm just taking it because of the extra range on throw glaive. Like, Perfectly Balanced Glaive isn't a great talent. It's a very weak talent, and if it wasn't for the fact that it gates Spirit Bomb, most would not take it. And at this point, just make Fracture baseline for us. Get rid of anything that deals with Shear, because Shear and Fracture are like, one is like a $5 bill, the other one's like a $2 bill. It's rare to see because it's really weak and really poor, where the other one is more mainstream. Like, I don't know of a Demon Hunter that isn't probably running Fracture. Just because Fracture 1 generates more souls, generates more fury. Okay, yes, it has a recharge time, but you have 2 charges. And usually you do Fracture, Fracture, Spirit Bomb. Or, in my case, you're doing Fracture, Fracture, Soul Cleave, Soul Cleave. Because usually by then I'm up to the point where I can utilize 2 Soul Cleaves. And also, with Soul Cleave, it helps out with the Soul Crusher in Raid, because Spirit Bomb doesn't activate a second stack of Frailty on the target right off the bat. So more or less, I have 2 stacks rolling, 2 stacks again, 2 stacks, 2 stacks, and I'm just constantly building up 2 stacks because I'm not using Spirit Bomb. So it's constantly building Void Reaver, the Frailty, for healing, and all that stuff. As well as the increased damage I'm dealing. Some of the other things that I'm using in Raid Boss, in my Raid build is, or that are key things in my Raid build is, once again, Darkness, just to give that 15% avoidance for my allies whenever a big AoE attack comes. My guild usually likes to pop Darkness and one other, like Spirit Link Totem or Spirit Link, DK's Bubble, etc. So that's why I tend to run Darkness. I don't run this because at extra soul shard I'm only going to get it twice. So instead of generating 3, I would generate 4 from this, and I generate 1 from Sigil of Flame. One last change that they did that I do enjoy: Feldev on a 40-second CD. Thank you, Blizzard, for this. This is a great change. It helps because we never really had a short intermittent cooldown that we could use when we needed it. We always had to try to perfectly time our cooldowns. With this, also combined with Dark Boon Glare, it allows us to have a more or less almost a 26-second reliable cooldown that heals us. And if you have it paired with Demonic, which case, unless you're probably running like Ruinous Bulk War, you're probably running Demonic. Allows you for 5 seconds of meta. So it just is really nice having that. I did always feel like I was having to try to time every single tank buster just right. And if I had mistimed just one, I was fucked. Because it just doesn't work the greatest. That's why I always went after the trinkets like Tree Mounds Festering Splinter, was to cover my butt if I ever had a Feldev or Fiery Brand or meta that was already off cooldown, or wasn't on or was off of being able to be used on cooldown. Now with meta being more or less a 2-minute CD, Feldev being a 40-second cooldown with the chance to have it be 20% to 40% reduced, that's major. That's really nice, because now we have a little less RNG that we have to play into, and praying that, oh hey, I hope my meta or my Feldev comes to being like a 46-second CD, which was as low as it could go at the time. And now it's oh no, that's now actually a decently controllable means of mitigation. We can actually properly mitigate. I actually probably won't need things like Tree Mouse Festering Splinter trinkets, because I can have now probably more damaging spells. So what am I going to see us looking for? I would say without a shadow of a doubt, we're going to be after haste. I am almost going to guarantee it's going to be haste, and if it's not haste, I will be completely shocked. Haste helps out in our cooldowns. All of these ones that you see, like 16 seconds, let's see, 12 seconds, 3.7 seconds, 12 seconds. All of these spells that have a green for their recharge time, that's all being affected by my haste. Keep in mind that this increases your attack speed, but also reduces global cooldown time. And if you don't believe me, this one. As you can see, it jumped up 28 or a whole 0.06 seconds just by swapping a ring out. Yeah, just swapping a simple ring changed it from 22 seconds to, or 1.22 seconds to 1.28 seconds. And yeah, I'm still running these boots just because I like having my well-fed buff of a whole 2 hours over having it be 60 minutes and lost on death. But yeah, other than that, I think Demon Hunters are going to be in a decent spot for tanking. I can't speak too much for you guys on the Havoc builds. I mess around with it during PvP, and that's primarily what I build for. This build may change whenever it comes. As you can see, I'm really not focusing. I'm actually focusing on buffing things like I-Beam. Because in meta, because I prefer those builds. I prefer having meta and all that. Huh. Just realized I don't have a spell on my bar. That's wonderful. There we go. So, I'll probably have to be putting my thing on this as well. Or getting my bars all put together. But, I want to give you guys my thoughts. And as I said, I utilize this for PvP. I don't really utilize it for PvE content because I don't know what the heck I'm doing in PvE. I'm 100% transparent with that with my guild. I look at them and say, yeah, I can try, but I have no clue what I'm doing, how I'm doing, or what I need to do to get that. And if you are interested in attempting to make yourself go as fast as possible, I do have a IM speed boot. I do have an IM speed talent set. Primarily just because I utilize this to catch up to my group if I had to leave, or in raid if I had to go, or if I had to go and do something, I'll swap to this. I made it with a little bit of survivability. As you can see, both talents over there are more like my PvE or my Mythic Plus talents. The IM Speed does sacrifice these two abilities to pick up these two. And once again, that is strictly because this is just to increase my speed to catch myself up. As you can see right here, 115%. 5% of that comes from a trinket. Ew. Oh well, I'll transmog it later. But yeah. Now, so this is our not our tier set. This is our tier set. It is going to be tied with Sigil of Flame. We'll be increasing our healing, our damage, and our total health when Sigil of Flame is active against an enemy. This is apparently a stacking buff. So let's just run here real quick. I'm in my IM speed build. Let's go ahead and do my raid boss fight because that is what I tend to prefer. So come in here and I'll show you what overall it does. Or okay, I can't show you what it does because I'm not on the PTR. I don't have that tier set yet. Sorry, I was thinking I was on the PTR for some reason. So essentially what this is going to do, anytime you deal damage while Sigil of Flame is active on your target, you will gain a buff, or I'm gonna hope it's a buff, or yeah, I'm gonna hope it's a buff and not a debuff. I don't know 100%. It wasn't really working too well on the PTR whenever I was on. That you'll gain a 2% increase to your healing and damage, and a 2% increase to your stamina. The 4 set will allow that Sigil of Flame will periodically deal additional damage and shatter an additional soul fragment. And for every 40 fury you spend, so 1 spirit bomb, by the way, because spirit bomb costs 40 fury, you will reset the recharge timer of Sigil of Flame by like 1 second. Yeah. Which case, I feel this is a little bit on the low side. I do feel that they maybe should up the cooldown reduction of Sigil of Flame for 40 Fury, or decrease it for 40 Fury. As it sits, you would get like 3 seconds off of the cooldown of Sigil of Flame. Sigil build will pretty much almost look identical to this, except you're going to come down, probably pick that up, this, and then you will probably end up, you may play that. You may take Burning Alive, or you may just come down here and pick up this. But you're probably going to get a lot of the sigil-based talents. I'm going to just make this so that I have it. And you're going to pick up a lot of the sigil-based talents. Once again, having an additional like 30%, or having yourself, I think I had it up to, let's just see, okay, we're going to come over here to my favorite target dummy. Alright, we're going to watch the, not the Fury, where's the parry? The parry, I have a 16.84% to parry. Now I have a 31.84. And we jump up to 51.84% chance to parry. And as you can see right there, so yeah. And I just lost all momentum on that because I popped back. But you're gonna see a pretty high parry chance. As you can see, baseline is just my baseline 16. I'm getting my I think critical strike increases the chance to parry, so we're gonna probably see a more haste crit builds over the time if you start playing the sigil build. But that's my thoughts. I think we're going to be really great in PvE content. I think we're going to have great control in PvE, or PvP. I do think that we will see some Vengeance Demon Hunters get played in PvE now. Just because we're going to have Sigil of Misery, Chaos Nova we can take in prison. We'll be able to lock down healers. We'll be able to move people around to how we need them. And we can also get double that. We can get double the Sigil of Miz. Double this moving around people as we need them to. We'll have double sigils of the islands. Keep healers even locked down even longer. On top of having things like Elysian Decree, Sigil of Flame, which will deal high amounts of ticking damage. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you think of the Vengeance Demon Hunter down in the comments. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. I do have other videos on the channel. I am currently working on doing a playthrough of Dead Space. I'm fiddling around in the Monster Hunter franchise, as well as playing things like Phasmophobia, Metaphysical, which is another ghost hunting game. If there's a game that you want to see played, please leave it down in the comment. I will see if I have it. I will, or if I have the capabilities of playing it, I will see about playing it. I'd really appreciate the like and support from you guys. So please feel free to hit that like and that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notifications of when I go live and when I produce new videos. I'm trying to do this for fun, but I would like to have a community built up around. Keep in mind, be respectful. Don't be mean to one another down there in the comments. Well, that is all for this video. This is Sniper. I am signing off.